If you are passionate about your message, if you want your book to be the best it can be, and if you want someone to do it for you with your collaboration every step of the way, then Ellen Reed is the one for you. Get Conscious Now is proud to be sponsored by American Riviera Bank. It's our bank, and we feel good about it. Hello, I'm Patricia DiOrio, and this is Get Conscious Now. Welcome to the entertaining, engaging, and inspirational talk show that is committed to making a global impact to build a better world by raising consciousness. Our mission is to explore the true nature of our physical reality and its practical implications for living a mindful and happy life. We have a studio audience here today, and it's our largest audience that we have ever had. And I want to thank all of you for being here because today is a very special day. It's actually the celebration of our 2nd anniversary. We've been doing Get Conscious Now for 2 years, and this is our 25th show. So we're really delighted to have all of you, and it just synchronistically worked out that way. Isn't that great? Yeah, wonderful. And I want to thank you for being here because everything is energy, as we know. So as you hold the space for the energy of this show to be powerful and to really move out into our audience that are viewing us today, and have it be really something that reaches into their hearts and their listening. Really, really appreciate your being here today. So today's show is about water, our most precious resource on the planet. And our guest today is a Native American who is a practitioner and a healer who has dedicated his life to healing the waters and keeping them flowing. But before you meet him, it's always a pleasure for me to introduce my partner in Get Conscious Now, my friend and co-host, Stu Zimmerman. It's always a pleasure to introduce him because he is such a fun guy and he always has such heartwarming words of welcome for you. Stu?
Patricia, thank you. It's always a pleasure to be introduced by you.
Thank you, Stu.
I must say. Thank you. So welcome, everybody, and welcome back. And if you're new to the program, you're in for a treat. So we're talking about Get Conscious Now. Yes, we're talking about mindfulness. Yes, we're talking about happiness. And yes, we're ultimately talking about a presence and the L word, love, and how we can live a loving life right here, right now. Now, you may be new to the program because we're syndicating now around the country, and we may be new to your location, so welcome. And if you've missed any of our prior programs, as Patricia mentioned, we now have about 25 of them in the can, so to speak. Really feel free to come to our website at getconsciousnow.com or come to our YouTube channel where you can see all of them. And you can find us on Facebook. And we've had Deepak Chopra, Michael Beckwith, and a handful of other, actually more than a handful and a footful worth of really incredible guests who bring consciousness and mindfulness and forward thinking to at least one aspect of everyday life. So with that, thank you for joining us. And Patricia, why don't you introduce our guest?
I will. But first I'd like to share a little bit about water. You know, when I was growing up in the 50s, water was not a big conversation. In fact, water was just this substance that came out of the tap and it was used for cooking and bathing and washing. In fact, I don't know about you, but very little water was drunk in my family, including from yours truly. So today, as people have cases of water in their homes and in their garages, my family had cases of soda, which was the primary thing that we drank. But today, it is a very hot topic of conversation everywhere in the world because water is a diminishing resource, unfortunately, and particularly here in California, it's a very, very important topic because of the drought that we're dealing with right now. So our guest today is a man who has dedicated, as I mentioned earlier, his life to healing the waters and keeping them flowing. He is Marshall Golden Eagle Jack. He is a Native American elder, a practitioner and a healer, His tradition comes from the Paiute and also the Awanichi tribes, and he is currently a member of the Washoe tribe here in California and Nevada. And by way of introducing him today, we have a wonderful clip that's going to share a lot about him and his background. So stay tuned and enjoy this wonderful clip, and we'll be back in a moment.
When I was about 5 years old, and this is back in the 50s, I noticed that in the springtime, a lot of our elders, the medicine people, if you will, they would be gone. And so I'd asked my grandmother, I said, well, so where did the elders go? And she says, well, they're up there talking to the mountains. Well, when I was about 7 years old, there was an elder that came off the mountains, and I sat with him and I talked with him, and I asked him, I said, Grandpa, when you go up into the mountains, how do you talk to the mountains? Basically what he was telling me is that these elders over here, they go up and they talk with all of the newborn plants. And then he said, these elders over here, is that they go up and they talk with all the newborn animals, like a newborn bear and a newborn deer, because we were integrated with them, and they would sit and they would talk with the animals. I said, so what about you? What's your job? And he says, well, my job, along with the elders over here, he says, our job is to go talk to the water. He told me at that time, as he was explaining some of these things, he says, yeah, you never harm the earth. You never harm the earth. You go to speak with the earth, and you speak with the animals. You go speak with the plants, and they'll take care of you. And you speak with the water, and get the water as strong as you can get it, and never ever put anything in the water that will make the water weak, because if the water is weak, everything that drinks of that water will become weak. And if the water gets sick, then he said, we'll have big problems. And so for years, I always knew that when in the springtime, when the elders were gone, they were up there talking to the animals and talking to the plants and talking to the water. And so our journeys is that we see that the waters around the planet are getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and there's more suffering going on with the humans, with the plants, with the animals, and we see that the vibration in the water is getting very, very weak, and it's affecting everything. And so our journey out here is to try to get as much of this information out to the communities around the world, and hopefully, I mean, this is kind of like a very, very powerful dream for me, that if we can re-educate people of how to work with the waters, we can bring the water back to life, get the water strong, and get the plants strong, get the animals strong again, and also get us strong again. And so we put together a ceremony to bring people together to understand the water and to understand crystalline energy. And so in our ceremonies, we bring communities together. We just offer them an option to work with in their homelands, to really get to know what their waters are about and how powerful water really is. And so we find a place on the land that's going to accommodate, this structure, and we create a circle. And in this circle is what we call the altar. This is where our heart energy is going to be held. And then we create what we call meridian lines. It's kind of like in our body, we have the energy comes into our heart pumps the energy out to our body. And so in the crystalline energy, it's the same modality, is that we're bringing the energy into the heart, the altar, and then we're broadcasting it out onto our lands. And so that's the basics of what a water wheel actually does. It's all of us coming together at a center point, creating an intention for the water, putting the intention in the crystals, and then distributing the crystals in our lands. I've been doing this work for the past 9 years. But wherever I've gone, creating the water wheels from Washington State, Oregon, California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, is that it's bringing community back together to understand some of the old ancient teachings. There's an old motto that we used to use, is that we're not here to heal the Mother Earth, we're here to heal our relationship with the Mother Earth.
Wow, that was a great clip. And now it's time to meet the man behind that video, Marshall Golden Eagle Jack. Thank you so much. Thank you. So Marshall, I'd like to begin this interview with you giving us a little bit of background about your upbringing, particularly around your great-grandparents and your grandparents being medicine people at their time, and share about how that lineage has come down to the work that you're doing today.
My life started out in 1953 in the High Sierras. And unbeknownst to me, I was born into a culture that was 100% earth-based. It had nothing to do with our minds, it all had to do with our hearts. And so my early teachings from my elders were all about the energy of the earth. Well, how does the earth work? What is the earth? And so in the teachings, it taught us children basically how to communicate through vibrational energies, through our heart source. And I guess in today's world we would call that an alchemy, like a heart alchemy. And so our elders, they teach us about this earth as a living being, that everything that lives here on this planet is equal to us, and we treat it equally with respect and honor. And so we never take anything more than we need. We always ask permission to take any resource. And so we communicate primarily with the energy or the frequency of that energy field, whether it be a plant, an animal, fire, air, even the winds. And so growing up in that environment was way different than mainstream society's evolvement, if you will, because it was all Mother Earth based. And so our elders always taught us not to ever harm this earth, not to harm something that's given you life, to honor it and love it and enjoy it and caress it and be one with it, talk to it. And that's why I'm here today, is that in our teachings is that we see many cultures do not know how to talk to the earth. And the essence of talking to the earth it's a life form itself. It's like what keeps you alive. And so when the heartbeat of the earth beats, it beats along with your own heartbeat. And very powerful explanations about life forms, about energy forms, crystalline grids, what the winds are about, what the sun is about, what the stars are about. And so it's a different kind of a teaching. But again, it was always based on never harming your teacher. And my ancestry, my great-grandfather, for example, he was born and raised in Yosemite, in the lands back then called the Awanichi. And Awanichi, broken down in an English form, is primarily the ones who live with the grizzly. And so the grizzly, the bears, literally taught us how to live on the lands, where to seek out the medicines, where to seek out the water, what to eat, what not to eat. And so again, it was all based on a relationship with the earth, with the animals and the plants. Even the plants told us which ones to pick, which ones to eat, which ones are for medicine, which ones will help you, cure a cold or whatever it was. And so again, the teachings was all earth-based, had nothing to do with mathematics or a language like English or anything, or history or whatever. It was all based on energy work. So every day is a brand new day. And this is the way they teach. It's never ever been used by any thought forms, any birth, any death. And so every day is a special day. And then the grandmothers speak about this. And then the grandfathers, they come behind us and they say, don't mess it up.
I was going to say.
I'm just going to complete this. Sorry,
you go right ahead. You go right ahead.
So your grandparents and your great-grandparents were medicine people, right? And you are probably one of the few contemporary medicine persons on the planet today. Is that true?
Yes. When we talk about medicines, I'm going to introduce it. It's vibrational medicine.
Vibrational medicine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is in keeping with what's going on
We have
today.
a lot of medicine people, but vibrational medicine people are way different. And I'm going to say something that might be disagreeable with some people because we have this word shamanism out here. Right. Okay. Now, shamanism for me, it's based on the intelligence of the mind, the frequency of the mind, of how we're producing results from the mind. But vibrational medicine is how we produce energy from the heart. Big, huge difference.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now how did you get started in leading ceremonies yourself, and specifically, how did you identify water as like the elemental energy that you were going to be working with?
Mm-hmm. In my younger years, I started out working with the fires. And so the elders teach us about fire, of how powerful that element is. And so they said that for every star out there in the galaxies and the universes, there's a fire for each particular star. Here on this planet, there's a fire for each living being here. There's a fire for a beaver, there's a fire for a bear, there's a fire for a tree, there's a fire for the medicine plants. And so those were the beginning lessons that I learned. It wasn't until later on in life that water was changed my whole life structure, basically, because I was under the assumption that I would always be working with the fire element. You know, we can move fire. I was a firefighter for many years, and it was interesting because we can move the fire. Mm-hmm. And if we needed more money, right, firefighting, well, we'd just make more fire. But we would also
hopefully not setting more fires.
That doesn't sound legal. That doesn't sound legal somehow. I don't know. You heard of the word arson?
It's just energy. We know how to move energy. So it's like, okay, so we need some of this energy in our pocketbook. So in order to get that energy in our pocketbook, we need this fire to continue. So we make it continue. Or, like the elders say, if the lands need water, we know how to bring the water to the lands. Through, I know a lot of you in here in the audience and yourself heard about rain dances. Okay? Yeah. Rain dances are very, very simple to do. It's understanding the energy in the mountains. And so I'll give you a really, really short story of how to create a cloud. Energetically, you take a mountain, say like the mountains here in Santa Barbara, and you stand out there with an intention, right? We want the waters to come to the land. Mm-hmm. Not only for the benefit of ourselves, but for all living life forms. Mm-hmm. And so we energetically go into the mountains and we bring and harness that energy to ourselves. Now, you've all seen feathers, right? Eagle feathers that Native Americans use. Well, I used to have a set of golden eagle wings, big ones. And so when we wanted it to rain, we would take the feathers and we would encompass the energy in the mountain and we would bring it forward to us like an energy ball. And then we would take the eagle feathers and then we would start moving this energy ball around in a circle, faster and faster and faster. As we did that, the energy that's encompassed in our arms or in our hands starts to become warm. The faster we spin it, then it really gets hot. And once it gets that hot, then we push it back into the mountain. And then we get some more of that energy. We bring it back for us, stir it up, push it back in, and on and on and on and on for sometimes maybe a half a day. But there might be several of us doing that kind of work. Well, what happens is all of that energy that's being heated up, pushed back into that mountains, creates energy into that mountain to be like a rippling effect through all of the minerals in the mountain. It gets hot through vibrational frequencies, and then all of a sudden the hot air travels up through the top of the mountain. When it comes out the top of the mountain, introduces itself with the cold air, you have a cloud.
Wow. So it's actually like a scientific fact here.
No.
In a way.
Yeah, I don't know how you can prove it scientifically.
Well, how reliable is that? I mean, does it work consistently? To be able just to work with energy like that? And
that's how we lived on the earth for thousands of years. It's understanding that type of energy. But again, we never misuse that energy. Is that we were all in unison with all life forms. If the plants needed water and the animals needed water, we would go seek the water for them. And then by giving them that benefit of the water, they would benefit us.
So it was vibrational. Vibrational healing.
And so it's being conscious and aware of what the lands are asking for.
So let's talk about the water wheel. We all saw that in the clip. And share with us about the water wheel in more detail. You know, what exactly is it? What is the sacred geometry that it is represented in the water wheel, and how does it work?
A water wheel is a vibrational frequency that's encompassed in what our terminology is of a medicine wheel. And I'm sure many people in the audience, we've heard of medicine wheels, but what are they? What do they do? How are they formed? Primarily, a medicine wheel is like this table on the land somewhere. And so we encase inside of the medicine wheel, the 4 directions, right, crystalline energy into that grid. And so what we're doing is we're literally connecting with the crystalline energy of the earth through vibrational frequency. And so there's a sacred geometry in the 4 direction symbol.
Can we show that, the sacred geometry? Yeah.
I'll show that here in a second,
Okay.
but I want to kind of encompass the medicine wheel because it only has 4 points to it. Okay, and then in the quadrants, okay, each quadrant that you have in a medicine wheel is dedicated to an element. We have the plant nation, we have the animal nation, we have the earth nations, and the water nations encompassed in a water wheel, in a medicine wheel, I'm sorry. And so what we've done through vibrational frequencies and energy is that we took the element of the water out of a medicine wheel. And so we connected with a vibrational frequency of water. And so as my grandfather, I call him, Dr. Emoto, has proven, is that when solidifying a water droplet into a crystalline form, every water droplet has a 6-sided element to it. And then there's a center point. And so our elders, they call this an energy grid, a field of energy. So it's called a 7-pointed star energy field because there are 6 points around the nucleus. 6 points give energy to the nucleus. Where in a medicine wheel, there are 4 points that give energy to the nucleus. And then on and on and on. We have 9-pointed star energy fields. Now, if we wanted to connect with the stars, we would create a 13-pointed star energy field, which goes off planet, which is a little spooky. But in a water wheel, this design here is we're literally pulling the energy or the sacred geometry of water out of a medicine wheel, understanding the properties of water, but we're also understanding how frequencies transmit. And so in this example here, just like what was shown in the video, is that we take our heart energy. The energy in our heart is an authority that we've been gifted with as a human vessel here on this planet. We have an authority, each one of us has an authority on this planet to bring that authority into sacred space, into an intentional field. And so, for example, our intention here is to create abundance, reverence, honor, respect for the waters. And so each one of us here, all of you in the audience, us here, sitting here at the table, once we join together with that heart alchemy, if you will, with that heart energy, is that we bring it into the center. This is what gives us an opportunity to use our authority in unison, in unity. Now that we have our heart energy here, the lines, because this is a symbol of water, okay, we are literally taking our heart energy and transmitting it to a water droplet.
Which is this.
Which is this. This
Right.
is an actual
Right.
Yes.
symbol of a water droplet. Now, all we're doing is we're expanding the water droplet to a bigger size. This could be a 5-foot diameter, a 10-foot diameter, a 20-foot diameter. And then in the bigger picture, we summoned up, like say here in our lands, we can go out 30, 40, 50 miles. I want to introduce to you here a little bit about how the elders teach us about our own energy fields. They say that each one of us has an energy field to give frequency to approximately a 20-mile diameter. So if there was nobody else here left on Earth, is that we can survive in a 20-mile diameter frequency field. It would accommodate us. So as we bring another individual in, say like you two come into my sacred space, you have 20 miles, you have 20 miles, I have 20 miles, so there, we, the three of us, can take care of 60 miles of energy. And so say like in the audience right now, anything over 10 people, that's 10 times 20, that's
A lot of miles.
that's a lot of miles.
Yeah.
So this is how they governed also population growth, is that we didn't want to bring so many people into the lands that the lands couldn't take care of us. So there's a lot of knowledge that was gifted to us by the ancient ones. So now the water wheels, we create a center circle, our heart space, if you will, the energy of our intention. Our intentions are to help the waters, bring the frequency of the water up. As we look at the lines in here, the 6 points around, is these are literally energy grid lines going out into our lands. And so when we come together in this sacred geometry form in a ceremony, is that we're bringing together all of the energy that we can possibly muster up so that we can broadcast it out through these energy lines out into our lands.
Is this what you draw on the beach?
Yes. Yes. It's what we were showing on the video. And so, for example, when we create this design on the land, we use we can use different offerings to create the lines with. The ones that we use primarily are the cornmeals, the white and the yellow cornmeal. And so we actually create this design on the land with the cornmeal. We draw it out and then we put the cornmeal in the lines. The next thing we do is we hand people the crystals and we ask them to put it in their hands. And so as I give you two a crystal, automatically, right now, that instance, your energy is going into that crystal. Now when we create an intentional thought form, that is also going into this crystal. And so if I had enough here, I would just pass it out to the audience. And so we would have a crystalline grid, a crystalline heart being formed because it's based on the same intention. Now when we bring all of our crystals into the center altar and we place it, say for example, if I place mine here and you place yours there, okay, just right here in the center, and Stu, if you would, okay. That's a very, very powerful energy just between the three of us.
I'll say.
Yeah, I was putting some love in there.
Okay, so when we have a lot of people doing this together, that is a lot of energy that is harnessed in this altar space. Now, what can we do with this harnessed energy? Now, what we do is we ask the energy fields to bring these crystals into the highest vibrational field of energy that we possibly can get it. And then we pass these back out to the people, okay? And we say, okay, Stu, over here in this direction, okay, which would be, I'm not sure where we are in the studio, but let's say this direction is north. So I say, okay, Stu, whatever water sources are out there in the north, say let's go out maybe 50 miles to the north. I want you to take as many crystals as you can possibly hold in your hand, and you go to the waters that are in that energy field. Patricia, over here, say in the west, you take crystals with you and you place them out there in the west, wherever the water fields are, and I'll take mine to the south or wherever. As soon as we place these crystals in that outside source, okay, now we have a frequency. The energetic field inside of the altar now is communicating with this crystal in the land. This is what we call the alchemy. Vibrational frequency, vibrational medicine.
Vibrational medicine, right. Which is, by the way, being proven now scientifically, because informational medicine, vibrational medicine, is the way of the future for medicine. And allopathic medicine is going to need to get on board this because it's critically important to our healing process.
Yeah. You mentioned Dr. Emoto, and some of his work with water uses intentionality and uses vibrational presence to help to actually alter the molecular structure or the crystalline structure of water. And this sounds in some ways very similar. Is your work similar, or is it a dovetail with his?
Yes, it does. What we were trying to do is I had the opportunity to work with Dr. Emoto a couple of times. And so when I was first given the information about this scientist from Japan doing this work with the water, it intrigued me. It's like, okay, so what is he up to? What he brought forward to us as Native American people is that we knew that this energy was working, we just didn't know how it was working. It was kind of like the great mystery. Okay, we went up there and we did the songs, we did the ceremonies, but we weren't exactly sure what we were doing. We just seen the effect of what we were doing come to fruition, like the clouds forming or the waters clearing or whatever. And so in the scientific knowledge, when Dr. Emoto came on board, it really intrigued me because he put together a link for us of knowledge. It's like, okay, what we were doing is exactly what he was proving scientifically. And so with the vibrational frequencies of just thought forms, words changes the molecular structure of that water. So again, let's go back to the word. When we create words of intention, that's what we are introducing into the molecular structure of water. So it's that love energy, that gratitude, honor, respect, all of those things that Dr. Emoto was proven scientifically. Now we have another scientist, his name is Dr. Pollack out of Washington State. Now he's going into the fourth phase of water, which is the intelligence of water, which is the next level. I think if Dr. Emoto had many years more left on this earth, he would have probably got into the fourth phase of water, the intelligence. And so it's being proved scientifically that, yeah, we do have an influence and an authority as a human being to change any kind of molecular structure here on this planet, not only the water.
And that would include ourselves, even our own physical bodies.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Some interesting implications there.
For, very, very powerful.
For longevity, for health and well-being.
That's why for me it's very, very exciting to teach this knowledge. And so when we can bring this information into a community, we can eliminate a lot of a lot of mental problems. Okay, getting them out of the fears, because all it is vibrational frequencies.
Right.
Okay. We can bring a community together to strengthen their water fields up or their water sources up. Take right action. It brings together a unity of frequencies that are in the water. And so when we can feel that in the water, it really encourages people to get the vibration up as high as we can. There might be some old tires in the water or something. Whoa, that's harming the water. Take it out of there. Put a crystal in place of that old tire that's laying there. Amazing results. It's like in Texas, we have floods there now, right? We have maybe over, I think, 26 water wheels in Texas. I just got a call the other day. They said, Marshall, can you turn this water off? I didn't create it.
In the direction of California.
I was going to say, directed it a little north and west.
Right.
I didn't create that. The people created that. I just taught them how.
So you shared a little bit just now about the results, but given the water wheels that you've done here in California, and I know that you've done quite a few of them, are there been any specific results that you can point to, particularly in regard to shifting the drought that we're experiencing today?
I haven't been in California long enough to set up what we call crystalline grid patterns yet. I spent a little over a year in Texas doing this work over there, teaching people how to set up a crystalline grid in a larger area, if you will. Just like California, I've received several calls here in the last month or so. I said, Marshall, is there any way we could get a big, huge coalition of people together for the California drought? And in the back of my mind, I said, well, it's feasible, but again, it takes funds to do that type of work, to get 2,000 or 3,000 people together in a huge water wheel ceremony. So if you can imagine this being maybe, I'm going to say 600 to 800 square or 800 diameter circle to house, a couple thousand people in it. It's doable. We're just expanding the energy.
Right.
It's doable, and that amount of energy for the people here in California, that would be phenomenal.
The macro over the micro.
This is what we did in Texas, in Galveston Island. We brought a little over almost 300 people together in a water wheel ceremony.
So 300 people, is that like, what, 6,000 miles? If it's 20 miles per person? That covers quite a range.
Wow. That's amazing. So they want you to turn it off now, huh? Could they direct it in our direction?
Actually, it can be.
They could, sure.
What's unique about these energy fields, just like the medicine wheels, is that in the ancient times we had medicine wheels throughout the whole lands to communicate with. It was the first fiber optics energy field that was ever created. And so many of the tribes still use the medicine wheels to communicate through. And so what we're doing is wherever there is a water wheel, a medicine water wheel, it will connect with the closest other water wheel. So if there are like 10 water wheels in a circumference of, say, 300 miles, they all connect together, which really brings the frequency up.
Oh, yeah.
Because say, for example, here in Santa Barbara, just hypothetically, if we have, say, 400 people here, we have one now at Venice Beach down in Los Angeles, okay? Now they might bring together maybe 600 people. That's a lot of energy being transmuted between us and them. Now we put one up here in, say, Ventura or up in Ojai. We do have several here in the Santa Barbara region. The Ojai one is what we call a showcase water wheel. They really put together an amazing energy field up there. But the uniqueness is every water wheel connects with the adjacent water wheels. And so our mission basically is what I'm looking forward in the future is to create 172,000 of these around the planet.
So now is the purpose of these water wheels to kind of purify the water that's already existing, or can it also serve the purpose of alleviating drought and actually creating more of a water supply?
Crystals, when you put a crystal in water, it automatically influences, even without a thought form. Okay. It starts bringing the energy field of the water up automatically.
Okay, water on the rocks.
Not on the rock, water on the crystals.
On the crystals.
Water on the crystals.
So just by doing this, it changes the molecular structure of that water into a high frequency medicine. Automatically. We don't even have to do anything. That's what crystals do. That's what's so phenomenal about these stones or rocks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I call it when I was small. So if you can imagine, I had the numbers broken down. I hope that I had them with me. If anybody has a calculator, so if we have 172,000 water wheels, based on an average of just 20 people, 20 times 172,000, is anybody good with math?
Now you tested me. 300 and
It's like 3 million, something like that.
3,480,000 or
something like
40,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now take that number.
40,000.
We hand each person 7 crystals. They are putting literally a crystal in each one of these ley line grids. So there's 6 on the outside. We all put 1 crystal together in the center. So you take that 3,400,000 whatever thousand people times 7 now. That's how many crystals that we're looking forward to get into the waters.
Can that offer up a clean water supply for every person on this planet?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because it's amazing that, you know, out of the 7 billion plus people on this planet, over 1 billion don't have clean water every day, which is mind-boggling.
Exactly.
It's
so
tragic.
again, just like the video said, it's teaching people our relationship with this planet. We're not here to heal the planet. We're here to heal the relationship that we have with this planet. And by using our authority as a human being, and we take the natural resources of this planet and use them for right intentions instead of taking these as resource, okay, we're just changing the thought form. And so as we do this, again, like the frequency of water, that's what we're looking at, the frequency and the vibration of water, is when we can use our human authority to give back to the water a frequency, a love, a generosity, a gratitude. It automatically brings this water energy up 1,000-fold.
Can you give us a very, I know we don't have that much time left, but can you give us a brief sense of the prophecy of the elders in terms of, you know, where we are now in relationship to our environment, relationship to the earth, and hopefully we have a happy ending here?
We have to look at planets. Each planet grows, or we grow as a planet grows. It's kind of like a simultaneous life form, except a planet obviously is much bigger than we are. But we grow like a planet does. And so our elders, they say that this time that we're in, this evolutionary time that we're in, is that the earth has grown old enough now to go through its puberty. Way back when this earth was equivalent to 2 or 3 years old life expectancy, is that the earth grew very, very fast, just like when we're babies, right? And that growth spurt between 2 and 3 years old. The planet did the same thing back 1 million years ago, or a couple of million, or who knows however million years ago. It grew really, really fast. They said prior to that growth, all of the lands were encompassed as one life form, land form. We had land over here, we had waters over here. But as the planet grew that rapidly, the land started to separate and the water crept into the stretch marks, if you will. And they said that's what caused the lands to create the continents that we have now, millions and millions of years ago, because of the growth. Now they say that it's growing again, but now it's old enough to go through its puberty, just like a young woman. So she's starting to grow her breasts, her hips are starting to widen. And so we see this, the evidence is through the volcanoes and the earthquake activity around the world. We look at where they are happening. And so we know the earth is expanding.
So would you say, forgive me for interrupting, but I think this is an important point that I want to get across. So would you say that the changes that are happening on the planet right now, like the catastrophes, et cetera, that are happening are really, in a way, a natural part of the Earth's evolution and growing, let's say, from puberty into adulthood? Would you say that that's a natural thing, and that perhaps we shouldn't be quite as concerned about it as the dire scientific predictions give us?
No, it's understanding the Earth as it grows, we just get out of harm's way.
Right. Yeah. So it's a natural phenomenon that's occurring.
Phenomenon.
Okay, great. You know, forgive us, but we are at the end of our interview, and I'm so sorry that we've run out of time. We probably could have done a whole hour on this just alone. So thank you so much. I would like to ask you, how can we help? How can people here today help you in this monumental work and moving it forward? Could you tell us that?
I've had a lot of requests, not only from here in the United States, but now we're getting requests from over in Europe. We're getting requests to go down to Australia and even over in Hong Kong. And so I'm I'm going into a new field of energy, if you will, expanding exponentially. And I have so many requests now, I can't keep up with a lot of them. I have requests to go back on the eastern seaboard, Florida, Oklahoma, Kansas. But I'm at a point right now where most of my funds are exhausted to continue on in this work. And so I'm doing everything that I can to try to create a brand new website, create mandalas with the crystals. We provide this with 7 crystals so that you can place it in your home. So there's a lot of things that people can help by joining in this effort. And so by joining us is that you're connecting your energy with all the other water wheels that are being placed on the earth at this time. Right now we do have a brand new in progress website. It's called keepthewatersflowing.com. We just started it. I mean, we haven't actually debuted it yet. But again, websites cost a lot of money. And so we can contribute to going on to keepthewatersflowing.com, go on to the store. And within the store, there's all of these donation factors there. And you can even purchase one of these.
Yeah, the one you gifted me with, I just love. I have it on my patio with the crystals on it, and I put my water there every day, and I pray with it. It's wonderful.
And if you want to donate directly to me for my endeavors out here, we will have it up on the screen. There will be phone numbers and a email address that you can contribute to.
Great.
And locally here, we're doing more workshops on, in the area where we provide these for sale also.
Great. Well, thank you. And one more quick question, right? Give us a pearl of wisdom. There's your camera right over there. Look into that camera to everyone that's viewing here today. And you give them a pearl of wisdom, short, concise, that would bring it, the essence of what you shared today, Marshall.
Okay. Don't be afraid to use your authority. That is a gift that we've all been gifted with. We're not here to heal the Mother Earth. She can do that on her own. As we're here to create a healing within ourselves, to understand how we can contribute to the earth.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Marshall, you've been just wonderful. Thank you so much for being here today. It's a great interview. Thank you very much.
So keep the waters flowing.
Well, that was a wonderful interview. And now, one of my favorite segments of the show is Stu's Views. And I can't wait to hear what Stu has to say about water and love.
Okay, Patricia, the good news is you won't have to wait.
Okay.
Okay, here we go with this edition of Stu's Views. Well, I am inspired by what Marshall shared with us today, both in terms of consulting the elders as well as working with vibrational presence. As luck would have it, today, as we're doing this recording, is the anniversary of my father's birth. He would be 84 today if it were still on this side of the sod. And before he passed, the last time I saw him, I told him, Dad, the thing that concerns me most about your transition is that you're not going to be around when I want to consult you and get the advice that I may need to kind of keep me on a right path. And he said, I don't know exactly how it works on the other side, but I'm going to do my best to reach you. So this morning, I must confess, I was a little bit at wit's end as to what I was going to say right now. So I said, okay, Dad, it's one of these moments. What do you have for me? How can I impart some entertaining and words of wisdom here? And what he said to me is, be present. And we just get conscious now. And share your love. And share your loving presence. So this Stu's Views is about getting back to basics. Just like we were talking about with a Native American. And I was born in the United States, so on some measures I consider myself a Native American. As I go back into basics for myself, knowing full well that without clean water I don't exist. And knowing without clean air I don't exist. And knowing without healthy food, I don't exist. Going back into that level of basic necessity of existence, I come into a place of deep gratitude. That it's truly such an amazing gift that I and that any of us get to exist. And that we get to live in this form for a limited time only. And that as basic energetic beings, the energy of whatever I am and whatever you are is going to pass through this physical body and go off into some other life form. And yet, for this moment, if we can consider just for a moment that this is the only life that we have, isn't it worth just showing up and being as present as we can possibly be with gratitude, and let this loving energy, whatever we call that just feels so happy to be here and so wanting to share with others whatever it is that just really makes us happy and healthy and turns us on and makes us want to play and view the world as a playground. Let it be and let it out. And I got to tell you, I believe in miracles. From our last show with Master Shah talking about miracle healings. And that's not just something for the Bible, something that's a few millennial old, and that miracles exist right now. And I must confess, I am in love right now. And I am with life and with a particular being that I just met recently, that I feel like after these tender years, and I'm having a birthday soon where I'm somewhere in my 50-something years old, chronologically, but yet I feel like I'm in a first love right here, right now, with a being that I'm so grateful to have met. And all I can say is thank you, whatever we call the source of all things, that created this planet, that created this body, that created all of us, and certainly that particular love in my life, and you know who you are.
She's watching.
She's watching, and she's feeling it. Deep thanks. Deep gratitude. And may the future be even more miraculous than our dreams can possibly fathom. And with that, it's time for Patricia and her quantum quote.
This was beautiful.
Well, thank you. And
yeah, it was beautiful. It's always beautiful.
It does require some surrender and deep trust in something greater.
It does. I understand. Well, okay, so time for our quantum quote. And I find it very interesting and a bit synchronistic, in fact, that on Thursday afternoon, as I was preparing for this show, presenting water, that it was raining. It began raining, and it rained pretty hard. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? I'm focusing on water, and it's raining. Isn't that wonderful? So I really do feel that when we can be present to water and focus on it, that we produce it. Now, perhaps it was a coincidence, but I think because I was working with the presentation on water, that the water came. And I wish I could be as present all the time. In fact, I have to confess that at times I take water for granted. And particularly when I'm taking a shower or perhaps I'm cooking in the kitchen, that I have a tendency not to be as present. So I think it's very important for us to pay attention and to really be present to water in whatever form or whatever circumstance we're in. So I chose a quote today that speaks very, very eloquently into this, and it's from the former Soviet statesman Mikhail Gorbachev, who was the head of state for the Soviet Union between 1985 and 1991. And he says, "We must treat water as if it were the most precious thing in the world, the most valuable natural resource. Be economical with water. Don't waste it. We still have time to do something about this problem before it's too late." So hopefully it's not too late. And in fact, I'm a cosmic optimist. People that know me well know that. I really feel that if we really took Marshall's words to heart today and paid attention to our use of water, how we use it, when we use it, why we use it, that we will make a difference in the water on the planet today. And I'd like to close with another quote. I'm a big fan of Dr. Emoto's work and all his work on the molecules of water and what he has proven through his studies. And there's a quote that I picked off the back of his book, on the postscript of his book, Messages from Water. And here's the quote. All I ask for is for you to understand the great and secretive aspects of water. All I ask for you is that you understand the great and secretive aspects of water. So, the scientifically proven fact that molecules of water actually change depending on the frequency that's directed toward them, right? For example, our thinking. Now let's just look at that for a minute. Our bodies are made up mostly of water, at least 80%. I've heard 78, I've heard 90 something. It's about, let's say average, 80% of our physical bodies are water. What we think about our water, positive or negative, with the water in our bodies, positive or negative, goes right to the cell of the body. So we are literally informing that cell positively or negatively regarding our health. So keep your thoughts positive. If you have a tendency to worry about your body, if you have a tendency to worry about your health or your weight or whatever would happen to be, though the negative vibration of those thoughts are impacting you in a negative way. So keep your thoughts positive and brilliant. And the next time you pick up a glass of water, send a vibration of love into it. So thank you again for watching Get Conscious Now today. And remember, until next time,
Get Conscious Now!
If you are passionate about your message, if you want your book to be the best it can be, and if you want someone to do it for you with your collaboration every step of the way, then Ellen Reed is the one for you. Get Conscious Now is proud to be sponsored by American Riviera Bank. It's our bank, and we feel good about it.
When I was growing up as a kid, I used to go around with him and watch him.
My mother and I both worked at Lowry Field to keep on doing this together.
Welcome to State and Fig, located in historic La Arcada Plaza in downtown Santa Barbara.
Our menu focuses on products that are raised in the state of California, inspired by the flavors of the Riviera.
And we are proud to be sponsoring this program.
I'm attorney Gregory Lowe. I will prepare your trust, bankruptcy, divorce, conservatorship, probate, evictions. All of this I can do at an affordable price and with caring. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Kelly Brandenburg. I've been a stylist for the last 15 years. I'm a color specialist, as well as I provide a wide variety of other services. You can find me at 19 Blue Salon in the heart of downtown. I'm happy to be a sponsor of Get Conscious Now.